There is a huge amount of exotic weapons in Destiny 2, 109 to be exact as of Season 21, and sometimes you don't know exactly which ones you should be using. So in today's video, I want to cover 10 must-have exotics for all solo players, so that you guys know exactly what you should be using. Now this counts for team players as well, so if you're a team player, there is some information for you to be had here, but this is mainly targeted towards solo players. So without further ado, and in no particular order, let's get straight into the list. Number 1, we have the OSTEO STRIGA. This is by far one of my favorite exotics in the game. When I crafted this back in the Witch Queen, I never really used it that much, but ever since Bungie gave us Strand, I've been using this weapon more and more. This weapon has some crazy capabilities with its crowd control and ad clear, and most noticeably, its conjunction with the infinite suspend Strand builds that people have been coming up with. With a pretty decent amount of poison damage that this weapon can do, this can almost be viable for a boss DPS weapon. You can use this at the start of your phase, get the poison over time effect on the boss, and then switch to your heavy and do some more damage. However, this weapon is mainly on my list for its ad clear and crowd control capabilities with Strand. As a solo player, sometimes the ads can overwhelm you, so if you can poison a few ads and take them down while you're not looking, this is very effective. Now for some reason, if you haven't got the OSTEO STRIGA crafted, all you need to do is complete the Witch Queen campaign. You will then get the pattern to craft it, head over to the Enclave and craft it. Moving on to number 2, we have the WITHERHOARD. The WITHERHOARD has always been in the spotlight for a great exotic weapon for Destiny 2 Guardians. It is one of the best weapons in the game to use against bosses and mini-bosses, with the capability of sticking an enemy, causing damage over time, while you can then switch to a heavy weapon and then do extra damage is amazing. This weapon is super effective in those lost sectors. If you're ever trying to kill the boss but you don't have many lives left, you can sit behind a wall, peek out, stick the boss, and then hide behind the wall, and your WITHERHOARD will slowly tick the boss down. If you're a solo player that likes to dabble in some raids every now and then, having one of these on to do some extra damage to a boss is always a great idea. Not to mention its ad clear capabilities. You can just stick the floor for wherever the enemies are about to spawn, and as soon as they spawn in, they're already starting to tick off and die. This weapon is also excellent in PvP, one of the few weapons that can kill a Titan inside of a Titan bubble. Either stick them or stick the floor and it will do some work. Another great feature that the WITHERHOARD has that not many people talk about is that you can stick an overload champion, preventing it from regenning health when you're waiting to restun that champion. A lot of times we Guardians find ourselves stuck where we can't stun an overload champion, and for some reason it starts to regen its health, and it is very annoying. Sticking this champion with a WITHERHOARD will do damage over time, preventing that champion from regenning health. The WITHERHOARD is a great exotic, so make sure you go and buy one of these right now if you don't have one. Coming in at number 3, we have the Wish Ender. The Wish Ender is an amazing single target high damage weapon. This weapon has a great perk that makes it do damage on impact and exit. This weapon can also shoot through enemies and deal damage to enemies behind the enemy you're shooting. This is definitely one of the best, if not the best, bow in the game. It also has built-in intrinsic anti-barrier, so this weapon can deal with anti-barriers, and whenever any exotic weapon has an intrinsic stun capability, that is golden. This is a great weapon to consider if you want to do some solo lost sectors, especially that you can sit at long range and tick the boss down from far away. Number 4, we have the ARBALEST. Now I wasn't going to put the ARBALEST on this list because I feel as though the Wish Ender is just overshining the ARBALEST, and it is almost just a better version because it has infinite ammo. Now yes, the ARBALEST does do more damage, but it requires special ammo to do this damage. So if you do run out of special ammo, you're not going to be doing any damage, and this is where the Wish Ender can sort of take over. Where the ARBALEST shines, the Wish Ender cannot, and that is in its shield breaking capabilities. With its intrinsic exotic trait compounding force, any shield that you shoot with one bullet of the ARBALEST, it will completely break that shield. This is extremely useful, especially in the new dungeon Ghost of the Deep when you're trying to solo kill the final boss. Instead of wasting a full super or a whole mag of heavy to break that shield that the final boss has, you can just shoot one bullet of the ARBALEST and that shield will be down. Being a linear fusion rifle, it does some really good damage, and it also has intrinsic anti-barrier, like we stated before. Having any intrinsic stunning perk on an exotic weapon makes this weapon S tier. Number 5, we have the Leviathan's Breath. The Leviathan's Breath is one heavy hitting truck of a bow, with one fully drawn shot dealing upwards of 100,000 damage. This weapon is definitely a must-have for solo players. With this bow also being void, this works especially well with volatile rounds, which which obviously as Guardians we can get pretty easily. The only downfall to this weapon is that its catalyst is sort of a must-have. What its catalyst does is after every single precision hit, it reduces the draw time that it takes to shoot the bow. So whenever you're trying to kill a boss or a champion, every single precision hit that you get, you're going to draw the next shot faster and faster until your mag runs out. Now I've been pretty lazy and I don't have the catalyst, so you can see from this footage how slow it feels to use until you have the catalyst. The catalyst also increases the inventory size, meaning you will have more ammo, and having more ammo, you can't argue with that. Now, like some of the other exotic weapons in this list, this one also has intrinsic unstoppable. So with this weapon equipped, you can deal with unstoppable champions and you can do some serious damage to bosses. This is an all-round A-grade weapon to take into any lost sector that you're trying to farm or complete. Up next, we have a great hand cannon, the SUNSHOT. Now this hand cannon is already a monster with all of its solar builds, and it is great in PvP as well. Now with Season 22 coming, there is a huge hand cannon buff on the way, increasing reload speed, doing 20% extra damage to red bars, and 75% damage to mages or orange bars. This is one hell of a ridiculous hand cannon buff, and this is going to make all of the exotic hand cannons in Destiny 2 seriously strong. The SUNSHOT has to be one of the best hand cannons in the game, especially when you pair it with a solar subclass. With its exotic trait Sunburn, this weapon fires explosive rounds and highlights targets. With Lightfall's release, this weapon will also scorch your targets, which works very well to ignite those enemies in PvE. With its catalyst also causing enemies to explode upon death, this weapon is going to be actually absurd next season, so keep an eye out for the SUNSHOT. As number 7, we have the Trinity GHOUL. Whenever anyone needs to deal with ads or kill a room really fast, everyone's first thought is the Trinity GHOUL. This weapon excels at clearing ads and nothing can top the Trinity GHOUL. Whenever you get a kill with this weapon, it procs the perk Lightning Rod. From here on out, you don't even need to aim, just shoot the floor and it will send out an arc chain lightning bolt that will kill everything in your sight. This is one hell of a weapon and it is definitely something all solo players need whenever there is ad heavy encounters that they need to take care of. Anyway, let's move on to the Izanagi's Burden. This is everyone's favorite damage dealing weapon. With its exotic perk Honed Edge, you can shoom 4 bullets and put them into one, which deals some serious damage. This works very well with hot swapping, which is where you shoot the Izanagis, reload it, switch to an auto-loading rocket, shoot the rocket, and then switch back to the Izanagis, shoot another bullet. And then you continue the cycle until the boss is dead or you run out of ammo. It is definitely one of the highest dealing DPS combos that you can do in Destiny right now, and every solo player should master this and get their hands on an Izanagi's Burden. Number 9, we have the Sleeper Simulant. One of the easiest high DPS weapons that you can use in the game. Just put it in your heavy slot and you are guaranteed a decent amount of damage. Doing a hot swap combo with the Izanagis and a rocket launcher is going to result in more damage. However, this comes at a risk, whereas you may miss a Izanagi's headshot or you might miss a rocket, whereas using the Sleeper Simulant is simple and steady and you're almost guaranteed to hit a headshot every time, resulting in a decent chunk of damage. The Sleeper Simulant hits so hard that it will knock the bosses back, causing them to be stunned, which will prevent them from doing their attacks or whatever they're about to do. This is great for solo players because it will prevent the boss from shooting you. This will also slow the boss down, preventing the boss from getting close to you and keeping you and the boss at a safe distance. Now finally, we have the Ruinous Effigy. The Ruinous Effigy is a great void weapon to have on all of your void builds. Whenever you kill anything with the Ruinous Effigy, it's going to collapse that victim into a void transmutation spheres, which you can then pick up and then use as a secondary weapon. These weapons that you can pick up from killing enemies can be light attacks. It can do a suppressing heavy attack, which is great for suppressing enemies. This weapon is extremely strong on hunters with the Gyrfalcon's exotic chest piece, which basically just guarantees you volatile rounds all the time. Tie the Ruinous Effigy into this and you are doing some serious ad clearing damage. But anyway, Guardians, those are my top 10 must-have exotic weapons for all solo players. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite solo exotic weapon to use is. But thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the content and all of that good stuff. But anyway, thank you and I will see you later.